Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on Prophix Cloud migration. With several customers signed up to migrate to Prophix Cloud and in the process of doing so, and several other customers about to sign, we thought it would be really helpful to run through the migration process with our customers. So what we thought we'd do today is invite you to ask questions in the chat section. And from there, what we will do is respond to the questions via email at the end of the session. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen with you. And I'm just going to move myself across the page. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Jill Hilton and I am the Customer Success Manager at Forest Grove. With me this morning, I have Matthew Bowker, Delivery Manager, and Kim O'Connor, who is a Senior Consultant. So what we're going to do this morning is start with myself running through the first step, which is getting approval for the process of migrating to Prophix Cloud, so getting approval for that project. I'm then going to hand you over to Matt Bowker, and Matt will run you through the process that's involved. It's a simple, straightforward, tried and tested migration process. So he'll run you through that. And then Kim will share some of her insights with you into what's involved in that process and how she's found it, and some key and some keys for a successful cloud migration. Then at the end, we'll come back to myself for next steps for you. So a very first step in a cloud migration is getting approval for that cloud migration. So in order to do that, we can provide a personalized demo for you. And in that, we will show you the features of Prophix Cloud, and we can also cover off on some of the things that may be of particular interest to yourselves and that may suit your organization and work well for you. So we can also then provide a detailed proposal for you where we outline where you are now and all the benefits of moving to Prophix Cloud. We will detail the commercial terms for you, and we'll also provide a high-level implementation plan so that you have a feel for what's involved and the timeframes, etc. Several of our customers have asked us to provide some quite detailed responses to security around housing their data in the cloud. We're very happy to provide this data for you and answer quite detailed security questionnaires. We understand the importance of security, so we can provide that information to you and also meet with your IT team. We also are more than happy to pitch to senior management or the executive. That might be with a demo, that might be running through a proposal, or it may be a meeting to discuss the benefits. We're basically there for you and really want to help you get the best possible outcome. So we'll do what's required to help you get approval for your migration to Prophix Cloud. And once you do have that approval, then it's time to move over to delivery. So on that note, I will now hand you over to Matt, who will run you through the next steps.
Thanks, Jill. As Jill mentioned, we have a really robust process here, and I'm going to run us through that today. I see a lot of familiar faces have joined the call, but for those of you I haven't worked with before, I'm Matthew Bowker, and I'm the Chief Delivery Manager for our Cloud Migration Strategy here at Forest Grove. And today I'm going to run you through the Cloud Migration project and the sprints and deliverables that make it as seamless as possible. I'm going to run you through the process at a high level, but keep in mind everyone is different, and we will work closely with your team to tailor this plan to your environment and your specific needs. There are 5 key iterations of a cloud migration project. Each of these has key deliverables, and I'm going to run us through each one in more detail. But the 5 sprints are pre-planning, preparation, lift and shift, apply the new features, and then I go live and support. So the first iteration that we go to is our pre-planning iteration. This is where my project team is going to work closely with your team to design a migration pathway with minimal interruption to your standard business practices. A shared vision is really key to this. ensuring that all stakeholders from management to IT to the end users are on board with the journey and make sure they have buy-in. We also want to use this as an opportunity to get buy-in from team members that may have stopped using the tool so much and start to get them excited again. Share the vision with the whole business and keep people informed of the progress of the migration. One of the key takeaways from this iteration is engaging the IT team. Moving to the cloud means less maintenance time on their end once we go live, but before that, there is a fair bit of involvement. We need to connect to their Active Directory to make sure single sign-on is enabled, and we have to make sure that the move complies with all the cloud security policies and procedures that need to be signed off before we can move data into the cloud. And this can be a real impediment to the project if we don't sort this out upfront. So once that pre-planning stage is complete, we moved into the preparation sprint. We do a robust current state analysis, take stock of what's been built, and identify the critical elements to your business. We also use this as an opportunity to clean up the system. Over time, users have added their own items. We have old reports and users in Security Manager. Giving us a really good deep clean will have you remembering how good Prophix can be. You might even ask yourself, with this much improvement, how much improvement can the Prophix Cloud possibly add? You'll find out. So we've aligned the business expectations about what Prophix can do. We've streamlined and documented the critical elements. The next sprint, we do our lift and shift. We implement a change freeze, take some backups, and we copy the whole thing to Prophix Cloud. So now we have a like-for-like environment in Prophix Cloud and in your on-premise environment. So firstly, we test out those critical items that you still have on-premise, those things that we identified in the preparation stage, making sure that at this point we're really satisfied that everything is working as we expect it to work. You might also be pleasantly surprised. With the cloud configurations, some reports actually work faster than on-premise, especially if you've got an older system where the configuration settings might be a few years old. So this sprint, we've really signed off the new features that you've got in your on-premise environment. This environment is Prophix called a sandbox, and everything is like for like. There's no additional functionality. So we move on to the next iteration. We apply the new features. So our cloud environment, we've ticked off that it's working as expected. The first thing we do really is apply new cloud features. Things like the notification center, our control center, these are switched on. And we'll work to make sure these work with your existing setup. And we'll also give you some hints and tips on how you can take these and straight away get some wins on the board. This is where also the biggest piece of the project comes into play, network-specific settings. We reconfigure the data imports, the drill across, the data exports, and the user settings. These are things that may have been configured to your network, and now we've moved them to the cloud. We need to work with your IT team to slightly reconfigure them. And this is where the pre-planning comes in handy. We'd engaged your IT team early. They knew exactly what was coming. Now that we're ready, we're in our production environment, we can do those data connections, we can do those data integrations, and we can reconnect everything and test. But at the same time, this also gave us an idea. At Forest Grove, we've come up with something that we call Forest Grove Connected Services. This is a newer offering at Forest Grove, and rather than just connect to your ERP as we've done in the past, we can implement a data warehouse. So we can take all your data sources, apply some governance procedures and policies, add some transformations here, and then we have the ability to not only output the data back into Prophix, but we can use other systems. So we might put them to Power BI, we might put them to other systems that you need to load data into. Things like Concur we've done in the past with Forest Grove Connected Services. So now we move into the final sprint. Everything's been built, everything's been configured correctly, everything's been tested. And once we've signed off on that functionality, we've added those features, we've signed off, tested and validated it, we're ready to transition into our go live phase. We offer full go live support, and this means closing the project, but also change management, training. Will ensure that your cloud experience is better than your current environment and help you take steps to deliver more with Prophix. But now you're on cloud, you also get the new features as soon as they are released. So no longer do you have to do upgrades. As soon as Prophix releases a new feature, it'll be applied to your system, and we'll make sure you get value from these by letting you know that they're coming out, letting you know how to use them, and making sure that straight away you're getting constant new value from the product as you go on. There's one last step. That's sort of the end of the project. We sign it off, we close the project, that's our final sprint. But there's one last step that I really want to add here, and this is the personal benefits that you're going to get from a move to the cloud. This is the benefits to you as a user, you as a migration team member, because you've now been part of the cloud migration project, and that's something to really celebrate. You should reference this win with your performance reviews, or if you're doing any job applications, if you're looking to move up the corporate ladder, this is a real win. A lot of people don't understand what goes into a cloud migration project. It seems pretty easy when I'm putting this together and I'm doing my project plan. But from the outside, a cloud migration project is a pretty big step. You really want to celebrate this win. And you can use this as a business driver as well. So let the business know. You might write some case studies, you might present it at some board meetings. It also allows you to expand your influence as from the finance function, but also as a user within the organization. So really what I want you to do when we finish this cloud migration project is celebrate the win. Really just let everyone know that we've moved to Prophix Cloud. You've worked on a cloud migration project. It was a really good cloud migration project. And now Prophix is better, easier, faster to use than ever before. So that's really the whole project packed into 5 easy sprints. You get some real good wins at the end. But from a delivery perspective, I'm going to hand you over to Kim, and she's going to run through what this looks like on the ground and some of the best practices she has uncovered from working on these cloud migration projects.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim O'Connor, a senior consultant at Forest Grove, and I will share with you some insights from my experience on previous cloud migrations. I understand that there would be concerns when trying to factor in a cloud migration in the middle of an already busy schedule. So factors like the time investment from your finance team, the financial investment from the business side, concerns around data security, downtime, and the impact on your day-to-day processing. And these are all fair concerns. And so I hope for the next while to put your mind at ease by sharing some key insights and best practices to set you up for a successful migration experience. So number one there is perfect preparation. And this is the case with most things, prepare. And so we want to engage our stakeholders really early on in the process so that they understand the steps involved in the migration process. So having those conversations with Jill and Matt prior to even commencing your cloud migration, understanding the differences between your on-prem environment and the new cloud environment, also understanding your Prophix solution, knowing what processes you're currently using, which are legacy processes, and what you would like to improve. So having those thoughts really early on can help you down the track as well. IT governance, so understanding your industry, its requirements around compliance standards and data governance. So we found that when we had what worked really well for us in previous migrations is that if we had conversations with IT right at the start to better understand their expectations around security and also to give them the understanding of our migration process and what's required from them, really helps prevent any blockers down the line so that we can sort of have a lead time and understand what needs to be done prior to the actual commencement of the cloud migration. So really engaging IT from the start is super helpful. Then we go down to timing. So timing, planning your migration, of course, goes without saying, outside of key business activities like your month-end process, having a thought about how long your month-end usually takes and where the migration period will sit within that. Also outside of key processes like your budgeting and maybe your year-end close. We have had customers who budget monthly, and so we had to plan around that as well. We also have a period where there will be a change freeze within the migration process. So that's the point after you've done your pre-migration checks, and we as consultants have done our checks as well. We then go into a sandbox, and when we're in the sandbox environment, that's an opportunity to test your on-prem in the sandbox environment, and that means that your production environment is frozen. So you will then be able to still use your system, of course, but we don't do any additional development during that time. So just being mindful about how that will impact your key business processes. And then training. So training on the product, so the cloud migration product. So we want to train our users in advance so that when it comes time to go live in the cloud, they're actually excited about moving and the benefits that they'll receive in the new environment. So training them up on the new features, getting them excited, and removing some anxiety around the change that's about to incur is really helpful for the team as well. And then finally, innovation. So it's a really great opportunity for you to visit, legacy processes that you're using in Prophix, understanding if you still need them, rather than just doing a straight, lift and shift of your current environment. Take the time you're investing in the migration. Think about ways you can leverage the many efficiencies in the new cloud environment to help you improve your existing processes and implement some best practices as well. So the good news is that there is tried and tested methodology for planning and implementation. And our team of experienced consultants are here to support you on that journey so that you can and will have a really successful cloud migration. So I'll now hand you back over to Jill for some final thoughts.
Thanks very much, Kim and Matt. That was very informative. We hope you enjoyed the webinar. And next steps are to get in contact with myself if you haven't already. There are some fantastic early bird discounts that are still available for the existing base. So it's worth making the most of that. And as Matt said, there are some wonderful data integration opportunities. So we really do encourage you to get in contact. I'm available via email, or you can phone me, or you can book an appointment with me. We will get back to everyone via email with all the questions that we've received. And we look forward to seeing you all next time. Thanks very much, everyone, and see you later.